it starts. This is the way it starts. What's up, everybody? This episode of Legendary is brought to you by Netflix. For a free 30-day trial, head over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. Boom. Uncomfortable. What is that?
Oh, this is just waiting for
Where the F are we? All right, we're at BlizzCon 2013, and we're in Chris Metzen's room.
Yeah.
And tied him up, hog-tied him.
By the way, very sorry about the mess.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, we're in a hotel room, and we're here to talk about BlizzCon. So I got Pat Crane, Mike Shaftnet, Mike B. Whole bunch of the GBN peeps in the back hanging out as our laugh track.
Yeah.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
Shh, we're going to get kicked out. Guys, if we get loud,
Yeah,
careful.
don't.
Yes.
He's going to come up
very
here.
quiet.
We got yelled at.
We're okay.
You guys are good.
Yes.
The official security man said we're going to get kicked out.
The official guy.
All right, so it is a World of Warcraft show, first and foremost, even there, in my opinion, is cooler stuff to talk about than World of Warcraft. But we'll start with World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of stuff.
Lots of stuff, lots of stuff. All right, expansion.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Excited? Not excited?
I'm excited about everything that kind of came out after. I don't think it stole BlizzCon by any stretch of the imagination. There were two really big things that I think that BlizzCon was all about: Warlords of Draenor and Heroes of the Storm. And just judging by the lines, I think that a lot of people were excited to more get their hands on Heroes of the Storm. That being said, I think there's a lot coming out in Warlords of Draenor. There's so much that they're doing.
You're already taking the World of Warcraft thunder away from World of Warcraft.
Not at all. No, not at all.
Storm.
Because this is the way that they're integrating Flex. Okay, so I'll just start off with this. I'm super happy. We talked about this, and you said that I was wrong. That flexible mode was a mode that wasn't meant for the people who wanted progression, and I greatly disagreed. I thought that progression would have been a great addition to normal raiding, because there are hardcore people out there that want the progression, but aren't hardcore enough to only have 10. They've got like 13, 14 friends and family, but you still wanted to be hardcore, but you couldn't be flexible to those people. And it was one of those features that I was really upset was its own mode, and it had its own separate queues and lockouts, and it felt so broken to me. And the first big change, if you guys haven't heard, is flexible mode is gone. They felt that it was just weird having flexible mode be like the standard mode. So LFR is now flex from 10 to 25, allowing, so you'll probably queue for 25. If people drop out, it will scale down so that you're not waiting for tanks or healers or DPS. If people drop out, you can continue to push forward even if you don't have the full 25 while you're waiting, which is great. Then the next one up, which is now 10-man normal, is a flexible 10-man that scales from
10 to 25.
10 to 25, correct. It's so now normal mode is back to just being like the second tier. It's just normal mode, and you can go find 10 to 25 people. The next step up is heroic. Again, scalable, 10 to 25. That equates to the difficulty that I believe normals were.
Yeah, so it works out so that it goes LFR, flex, normal, heroic right now. So it would go LFR, normal, heroic, and then
mythic, which I think there's a mixed bag of where people stand with mythic. I would think, and I'm not Trekkie, I'm not up there with those people, but I would think that they would like that separation.
Okay, so actually last night
That was my next question. What did the people think last night?
Last night at my party. At my party that I held last night. No, I was able to talk with a bunch of the guys from Method and from Blood Legion, and all the top guilds. They came to my party. That's all I really want to say.
This is the man.
No, but I was able to talk to them, and they seemed really, actually, genuinely excited about this new mythic system and about everything else that's going on. But of course, this is coming from the top. Right, so this is coming from the top 1%, and there's a certain. I'm kind of hesitant to say that this is a really great thing, because I know that there are certain teams that are going to get kind of screwed out of this, especially when it comes to mythic mode, because we're talking about a 20-man team. You have to be a 20-man team in order to go through mythic mode, and so teams like Paragon, they're going to have some tough decisions to make as far as if they want to continue doing the things that they're doing. If they decide that they're a 10-man team and that's it, they may be done. Who knows? And the other, so 10-man heroic teams are definitely kind of looking at this and kind of wondering where they're going to stand. But then you also have the 10-man teams that try to like broach heroics. You know, they try to get into heroics, and they try to really they want to do like at least a few before the next tier. So those guys too, they're going to have to look at this and say, okay, are we going to be good enough to have a 20-man team? There's some good things and some bad things about having this all be flex up until Mythic.
What about the other 7.8 million people who play World of Warcraft besides Paragon?
For casual folks, this is great.
Not even just casual.
Awesome.
For the people,
casuals and normals are awesome.
Casual.
Yeah.
Besides the top 1% that are really going for this top tier.
You know what I'm most
really
excited
like
about?
This raid structure.
I'm now going to have a level 90.
Right.
Damn.
Right. Damn.
Round of applause, please. Thank you.
Damn, kid. Nice work.
Thank you.
So no longer casual. What?
No. I'm hardcore. I've got a
hardcore.
Level 90.
You've got a hardcore 90 when everybody's got 100.
Exactly.
100 characters. Yeah.
I could probably buy that sooner or later. I'm sure that'll be in the shops.
Hey, by the way, I want to say thank you for allowing us to shoot this thing on a bed.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
nice,
very
right?
comfy.
Feel
Nice.
Comfortable.
It's
You guys-
good.
yeah.
It's good.
I just want to say though, because you were talking about, I'm right back in game mode. You were talking about how it's going to be tough for the Paragons out there, and even the 10-man, the hardcore but casual 10-man guilds to want to step up into Mythic.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say that you do have to consider just go find 10 people, find another 10-man raid out there, and have them join. It's not that easy because you have the separation of power.
Yeah.
Raid guild leaders, raid leaders, people have their set positions, and you can't just easily mesh with another group who's trying to run it to fit 20. It's not that simple.
The nice part about this, let's get into the nice part about this. If you wanted to merge guilds, like 2 10-man guilds or something like that, you actually can do it fairly seamlessly because of the way that loot is going to work. Because they did some new changes to the armor system so that, you know what? We're going to get
easy.
Exactly. It's going to be, okay, you want to wear plate? Wear plate. You want to wear mail? Wear mail. And if anything drops, it could be yours. Because they're getting away with male intellect stuff. They're getting away with male agility pieces. It's just going to be, if you play something and you need to wear armor, you can wear it and be fine at whatever you do. So, I mean, that's kind of interesting.
But there's, okay, so, yeah, I didn't follow all the WoW stuff of this thing because the only thing that appealed to me was really the character models. That was awesome.
Character models are awesome.
Yeah. We'll get there, I'm sure.
You're right.
But, when you guys start nerding out over this PvE stuff. But, no, they're removing like a ton of stats, like what haste and
They're getting rid of
are there
parry,
any stats that are going to be on
hit, expertise, parry, and dodge, all gone. They're minimizing the amount of enchanting. They are removing reforging. They are also looking at taking out a lot of gemming, like meta gems are now gone, and a lot of gear.
So what's happening to like jewel crafters then?
You know, that's one of the problems.
Because
is
I'm
that
one and I have a whole bunch of crap that you've never.
Here's the thing that I see. Unless they change the professions, this thing is gonna kind of blow up in their face a little bit, because then for raiding, everybody's gonna need to be blacksmith jewel crafter.
Right.
They're all gonna need to do it because they're all gonna want the more powerful gems. So they really need to take a look at professions and figure out where they're going with it.
So here's what I want to say, because you brought up the ease. It's going to be great that they're breaking everything down to a primary stat. And I don't know. There's a little bit of misconception here. They talked a little bit about how everything was going to have a primary stat. So when I'm on my druid, it's 100 agility. Right. But if I respec to resto, it's 100 intellect. Now the problem here that I see with it is that the three of us can raid on our own. We got an awesome group, but you and I both, well, it only works with the more people. So let's say we just have 20 people. Okay. In that 20-man group, we've got 5 people who wear leather.
Yeah.
Healers, monks, druids, rogues. We get a leather piece to drop. Everyone who wears leather is going to want to roll on that item. And I think that at first, it's going to be a problem. I talked with Zista a lot about this, and he kind of explained this, elaborated. We theory crafted about this, and I think here's the better side of it.
You theory crafted with Zista? Hold on one second.
No. But
you theory crafted with Zista.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. So up front,
I promise.
Well, he's going somewhere, people.
I promise.
Look out.
5%.
I'm 5% sure.
Here we go.
So up front, it's going to be really hard. when you're in that casual 10-man, it's always kind of an easy choice. If it's like me and you, like both rolling on the same piece, it's like, you know what, Mike needs it more. You have it, but
beat you up.
You're not gonna have that with
would.
all 5 to 6 or 7 people. Not everyone's gonna have that mentality, but on the back end now, you're going to be able to distribute gear amongst your raid a lot faster because consistently, if you get that plate to drop, you're not stuck. Damn it, we got strength plate again for the 800th time in a row. We can't give it to a paladin.
It just moves variable from the RNG.
Right.
That's all it is.
Well, and the other thing too is that I am really looking forward to it as a resto druid, is that I will be able to collect gear and I will be able to do off-spec stuff, and I won't have to work at it, and I won't have to say, oh my god, my off-spec gear sucks, because guess what? My off-spec gear is my normal gear now. So how is that not an awesome thing for the guys that play support? That's really cool, and that means that you can do so much more with your secondary spec. And I think that there's going to be a lot more importance placed on secondary specs as we move into the next expansion, which is kind of cool, actually. I mean, it opens up a lot of possibilities, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. I don't know.
I think that and also kind of what you said. I'm one of those people. First off, they said they were doing a lot of bag maintenance, which we could possibly get to here in this crazy discussion.
You want to talk inventory? You want to talk inventory? Let's talk inventory.
No, I mean, you and I are both druids. You and I know.
It's kind of amazing how the quality of life issues are some of the most important things to people at BlizzCon this year. Like for the veteran player, we're walking around asking people what are you most excited about, and they're just like
bag space,
the UI, bag space.
Bag
space.
Like,
the slightest little quality of life issues actually are making the geeks freak out.
We have to get into the lore, I think, because that's huge of where this is kind of going, of where the story's going. But I think what's really interesting is I think we all kind of got a chance to play the demo for the most part. Mists of Pandaria, I remember I played it and I was like, oh, I'm checking out all these new systems. After playing the Warlords of Draenor demo, it just felt the same. Yeah. In terms of what the game had to offer, I didn't feel like I was getting anything new except for those quality of life things. I remember we wiped on one of the bosses we were on, and I opened up the combat log to try and figure out what was going on, and I was looking at 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. Like, holy crap, numbers I can actually in my head feasibly understand again. Right. Not 28,000, 30,000, a million. Where'd that million come from? Let's talk about the item squish, because honestly, I'm glad it's finally here, and after playing with it, I'm glad it works.
Well, even GC even said, a couple years ago, he's all like, "We're not gonna do the item squish because people will eventually beg for it. That's what we'll do it."
Right.
And at this point, everyone's all like, "Woo! Finally, we could do it." Yeah.
And he was like, this is the only expansion where you can say, "Hey, we're gonna actually calm things down. We're not gonna give you any new abilities necessarily. There'll probably be a couple here and there as they kind of figure out what's going on, but they're actually going to remove abilities and try to make sure that this goes back to something that actually makes sense for people to play, where you don't have to have 6 bars of buttons up at any given time just so you can do just so you can raid or PvP or whatever you're doing at a regular rate. It just doesn't make any sense. When I look at my hunter, I have everything out there, and I'm staring at stuff, and I'm like, why do I have all this stuff? I don't know.
Button load.
What's going on? What's going on with PvP? PvP seems to be there was no attention almost paid to it at all. There's barely a clap. They were just and there's this.
Yeah, PvP zone. The way it was described to me.
Even the Ultralight Valley.
Okay,
it's like an old school AV, but I mean.
Here's the thing.
Is it just because the systems are broken right now, and they really need to fix that stuff first, and they didn't want to jam it into the expansion?
I think they brought a really cool feature with this new zone, trying to bring back the old feel of the AV, where you could queue in the morning, come back in the evening, and the fight was still going. Yep. That's great. And I was.
But the reception in the room wasn't that.
Because PvP is not the majority.
Well, and PvP lately, because it hasn't been changing, has been slowly just dying. It's moved into arenas. We didn't get anything about arenas or rated battlegrounds. No one's really, no one's playing around in world PvP at the moment. So I don't think anyone could really get behind the idea of what this world PvP zone could be.
It's called Fireworks. It's Disneyland.
Oh, hi
Who's knocking at the door?
Oh my
Who's knocking at the door?
Gunshots. Somebody's got a shot. Sorry, that was
I mean, part of the reasons why you have problems with RPGs, and this is from someone who hasn't done it in a while, I probably recognize it pretty easily, is the fact you need 10 people. You need 10 people to log on and get together, and coordinate, and get better, and all that stuff. Arenas are popular because you could do it with 1, 2, 4 other people, and that's it. If they were to create, kind of this objective mode thing where you could do it with 5 people, then I guarantee, RPGs would take off because there's fewer people involved. I think it's great that
Flex PvP confirmed.
I know exactly. Right? You get in with one person and everybody else.
We're gonna buff you up here against 1 against 5, but
no,
we buffed you.
I prefer the other 5 to actually lose a lot of stats. That would be so much better. No, I mean I think bringing back kind of more of the long battles.
Right.
I think that's pretty awesome, honestly. But the thing is, part of what made AV back then so awesome was not just the fact that there were these long, crazy battles, but it was that it was your realm, right, that was doing it versus everybody else on your
what about
the incentive
right?
gonna be?
The
How are you
gear,
gonna go there? Like, how are they gonna get you there? Is it gonna be like, oh my god, it's the flavor of the month, this is cool, and then all of a sudden it dies out? It's gotta be like,
the gear was so important to original AV, whether people want to admit it or not. That's why people played those long matches, because they were trying to.
Was so important.
What was
AV. In AV, the rank.
Yes, well, you're right.
Yeah.
And it's just, I tried to talk to Halink a little bit about this last night, and I just told him, I was just like, I like the idea of the system. I was a little bit concerned when they introduced it, because the problem that we've had with a lot of PvP systems is that why is the arena or battleground player going to go to this island if they don't have any realistic reason? Why struggle in this world PvP environment if you're only going to get something that is the same for doing rated battlegrounds, normal battlegrounds, or arenas? The systems are easier.
The honor per hour is going to be what's the most I could get for the time that I put into it is where people are going to go, and for the least amount of effort, obviously, with RPGs versus arenas.
I'm going to divert. What is the room? What was the coolest thing you guys heard about World of Warcraft? Just World of Warcraft. What do you guys go to our group? What do you think?
I like the garrisons.
Garrisons.
See, and this is what I was going to, because I've been asking everybody.
I'm gonna go. Hang on. I'm gonna go around the room. Hey Phil, what'd you think?
Everyone is super excited about player housing
Right.
garrisons. It's
I think that there's some big news about rating and about how PvE is going to run down. PvP has its own problems, but yeah, garrisons is the one thing that everybody's talking about, and
why is everyone so excited about it right now?
It's gonna be work.
Player housing, essentially, yeah. I mean, it is the new thing. However, I think that Blizzard really missed the mark. I really do, and the reason is that
you have to follow that up.
I know I will.
I
I didn't set it down. I just paused briefly. Sorry, beer. I will put you down.
They missed the mark.
So anyway, but I really think that Blizzard missed the mark on this, because one of the things that I really want out of garrisons and out of this player housing, if you will, is I want it to be a guild thing. I want it to be a guild thing. I think that, they talk about playing with your friends, and yet they put this garrison thing out there, and it's basically yourself. And I don't understand that.
It is.
And I know that there's got to be something to go with actually, programming this thing into the game and making sure that this will work. But I really think that this is the one thing where they missed the mark the most, and it should have been group housing. It should have been guild housing. It should have been something like that, where you can go, you know what, I'm going to be hanging with my friends in the tavern, and I'm going to go there before the poll. That's awesome.
But I think the answer that you're really looking for was you wanted both. Because here, I'm just going
to
give an example, really, because Final Fantasy XIV just announced their player housing and said it might only be a room, like guild sort of housing with like a commune, and people were like, but I wanted Maya. So it's like they had that, and now they wanted their own. So I think either way they would have went, people would have been like, I wanted this.
But I'm a guild master too, so I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I want everything for my team. I want everything for my people. I want everything for.
Wait, you don't just take all the guild gold?
No.
Oh
no.
I did that
I actually
wrong.
pay for that stuff myself. Which is weird. I pay for repairs myself.
But I can only imagine that if this all works, that's what's going to come next. I mean,
I don't want it next. I want it now. I want personal housing later. I want group housing now.
I do think that the garrison personal thing is awesome, but it's a lot of space for yourself. Right?
For one person.
But I play a game called Warframe. And in it, they have a dojo system. And the dojo system, you can't just go in there and start like picking pieces and start building out your entire dojo layout. You have to set it up, and then everybody has to contribute to creating this thing, and it costs a lot of man hours, of play hours in order to build this thing. You could
creates community, creates your guild.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing, and that's the big thing, right? In Warframe, when you complete these events, they have these competitions, right? So when you complete these events, if you're like the top tier or whatever, if you're the number one, you get like these special statues that you could put inside of your dojo. Which, I mean, that is amazing. It's so good. Something like that working with WoW, maybe linked to guild level or something like that, would just be so awesome. You hit guild level 50, right? Not gonna go that high.
Yeah. Right.
You unlock something amazing you could put in your garrison. We have the head of Onyxia that sits on a spire out in front every once in a while. Something like that would be great. You kill a boss and you have something hanging in your garrison.
They did talk about how I mean, I agree that it would be much better if it was like a guild represented thing, but they have talked about killing specific monsters will give you sort of trophies. You lop off the head and you put the trophy in your house. But it would feel better, a lot better, if it was your guild, because everybody felt really good about running into Orgrimmar or Stormwind.
Did anybody not see you getting Dance Studio? It was there.
Before we move on, just in case before we move on to garrisons.
Shut up, Gary. I'm talking.
Shut it, Gary.
I'm afraid it's going to get away from garrisons because I have one huge concern about garrisons that I think a lot of people do. So they talked about when your buildings reach rank 3. One of the examples they used is you'll get maybe something like bonus to crit. Now, the concern is, and I didn't get this clarified for me, but if that's to your actual character, you are going to run into a potential problem where now they're just like professions. Now you're going to have rating guilds and expectations. Well, if you're going to be a DPS, you need to have these buildings with this stats because you need the plus crit, you need the plus this, you need the plus that. I guess part of me is okay with Blizzard just saying
never
fine.
Been away from that. Like they've always been like, yeah, we're like all about gear.
If anything, you could spin this in a positive note and say it's something that everybody could do. They don't have to drop a profession in order to take it. It's something that everybody has access to. Your concerns are valid. It's something you have to farm, you have to pull this up, you have to do this, and maybe build specific buildings, whatever. But on the flip side, it's something that everybody could do. It's a new slot.
But isn't this like this is one of those things? It's a great feature, and I think that everybody wants to play. But it's one of those things that should be optional. Or should it really have stats attached to it? Just because I get that they want to make you feel good for building up a level 3 house, but it's like why does building a level 3 house give me plus crit?
I think one of the issues is that let's take a look at how farms worked in MOP, shall we? The way that farms worked in MOP was awesome at the beginning, right? So everybody was farming, and everybody was having a great time at the beginning of Mists of Pandaria. 5.1 hit, and everybody said, why am I farming? And they're still farming. And then 5.2 hit, and they said, seriously, why am I farming? This is stupid. I can get this stuff on the AH for less than this. And by 5.3, everybody said, screw it. I'm out of here.
That was because it was farming.
So, but if you can get the crit, if you can get the next thing that you need for your team, whatever it is, that is the next. That's the carrot, right?
Well, what about the carrot of the fact
that? By the way, carrot's not on the farm. The other kind of carrot.
What juicy root carrot. What about the fact, just kind of going down your thing about having a carrot, is the fact that these buildings and barracks are a tool to give you access to additional crafting professions, because that's the other thing. If you're a jewel crafter, I forget what other thing needs ore, but you didn't take mining, you now have access to a way to get ore if you don't feel like going the route of the auction house. Because I hate it.
You could go so far with it. No. So maybe you build that thing that you need in order for that profession, and then let's take it back to how farms used to work at Orcs and Humans. You build a farm and you get 4 NPCs. It's awesome. You get 4 NPCs and you can have them go do the mining and all that.
But that's what they're doing with. That's what they're doing.
Awesome.
That's what they're doing kind of with their followers though, because you can gather your followers.
Army, dude.
Kind of, but the problem is
with the peons.
Exactly. Well, no, I'm kind of agreeing with you. It's one of those things. I don't think they're going to move as fast as you want them to move anyway. So it's not going to really matter anyway. So when you have these guys working, my guess is in the final iteration of this, when it all comes down to it, they're going to be nice. They're going to be a nice little asset to have, but they're not necessarily going to be a great asset to have, unless of course you have a lot of them. Sure. And so you would need to have more and more and more, and basically that would be the new farming. So.
And then they could put it on your iPhone and your iPad.
Right.
And check in while you're at the bus stop and send your NPCs.
Gary, with
isometric point of view, you control the NPCs and tell them to go mine this. Oh man, this is so good. Go chop down wood. Yeah,
they're already talking about
awesome.
it. They're already talking about it.
It should be so great.
It'd be great. But I would have thought we were talking about. I think pet battles would have come before that.
Yeah.
All right, there's so much else to cover. What else do you guys want to talk about WoW before we move on to something else? Just like all these other
Okay,
games
all right.
and
So
stuff.
real quick, WoW specifically, one thing that I know is going to be a huge thing that I got kind of I don't want to say it was confirmed. They didn't come out and say this, but they were during the during a press Q&A. Someone brought up the idea of 5.5, and they seemed very negative about giving us another patch. Because
I heard somebody say, allude to the fact that it really sounded like that might actually
so
they know that the time frame right now is going to be quite a while.
They said two things. The first thing that they said was that everybody they have right now working on WoW.
Speaking of Zista.
I was hoping they'd pound on the door, but I had to go down to let him in. They won't put him in whatever room. You had to do that.
So the first thing that they said is that everyone they have on the WoW team right now is working on Warlords of Draenor. Everyone. The second thing that they said was and they used 5.5. They said working on if it took us 4 months to make 5.5, that's 4 months that Warlords of Draenor is going to be pushed back, and we don't want that. We want to get it out as soon as possible. They also talked about how they joked about the fact, and I don't mean to say this to mean, but just to kind of really drive the point home in my head was they talked about how people's negative connotation. Oh, we're going to be stuck on this final raid for a year, and it's going to suck. And they're literally like, oh, God, it's going to happen again. Not like it hasn't happened before. Like, they know that that's happened. They know that that's the norm, and people have done it, and they really just almost wrote it off. I truly, from that conversation alone, from hearing them talk about it.
Where was this?
The special press Q&A.
Oh, the one that I missed because I was preparing for my party that all those raiders came to.
Should have been there.
All those special guests. It was great.
I don't have the quote, but I feel like at the main press events. But does anybody else remember what I'm talking about? When somebody asked this question, didn't it sound like, I forget who it was, but somebody, I thought they alluded to it and said like it's kind of open and on the table. So I thought they alluded to the fact like, hey, we know the time frame is going to be pretty great. There might be another patch.
I didn't hear that. All I can say is what I heard.
They have to do a pre 6.0 patch.
They'll do that. I'm sure that they'll do something intermittent leading into the next.
By the way,
next
what's going to be
expansion.
on that patch? Item squish.
Item squish. I mean, we can. All the mechanical switches that they're trying to do, maybe. Who knows?
Primary stat stuff.
Primary stats.
So like
maybe.
playable stuff is going to do.
I don't know about playable stuff. I
How
think
much playable stuff did we have after Icecrown? How much playable stuff did we have after Dragon Soul?
I think they might.
Talent change. Like the talent change is pretty massive.
Yeah.
That was a huge, massive gameplay mechanic that was specifically coming in Mist of Pandaria. It wasn't something that they said was going to become in the patch after Dragon Soul. It wasn't like a. It wasn't a.
You're talking about like a content patch or something.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 6.0.
Gotcha.
Like a pre 6.0 type of thing. Well, the only thing that would be like world event type of stuff would be Gary, not you, Gary.
Oh, really?
Garrosh.
Oh.
The other Gary. Garrosh escaping. They've already let that out of the bag, people. So Garrosh escapes as soon as he goes on trial. So that would be the pre 6.0 thing, and probably something to do with where he goes and how we deal with that. But I mean, that's going to be pre 6.0. That's not going to be a 5.5 type of thing.
Right. Oh yeah. That could be the event.
I don't think that there's going to be anything necessarily playable. And I can't.
There's not everything they announced so far. There's
right,
nothing.
Right, and there's
great
not going
to be like out in the middle of.
There's not going to be a raid. There's not going to be anything of any real consequence for anybody. So I mean, we're going to be kind of stuck on Siege of Orgrimmar for quite some time, which is disappointing.
Summer, early fall.
What about the other thing? A lot of people were freaking out about the boost to level 90 thing. How many people in the room know somebody who stopped playing World of Warcraft who you think will absolutely come back if they could boost to level 90?
Oh yeah.
JK was like, no, not me.
Yeah. Nope. Sorry, not me. I think it's going to be huge. I actually think that alone, you could see a huge increase in people coming back to World of Warcraft.
Maybe. I mean, it's one of those things where you look at World of Warcraft and they've said it time and time again. There are more people that have quit World of Warcraft than are in World of Warcraft. So this is a definite possibility for people to jump back in and do something. But I think that there's other hurdles other than just getting to level 90.
Well, what would be the big hook for those players? Like if you were telling your friend why to play Warlords, there's not a big of a hook. It's like, the last one's like, well, there's pandas. It's a new raid. You get to play
Player housing.
Well, that really big people.
No. On paper.
Dance studio.
Dance studio.
Dance studio. All the players who stopped a long time ago be like, what?
So okay, well, I think that's partially in their story, partially them wanting to go back, because I think that they've got a really they're hitting 3 markets here with where they're going with their lore. They're hitting the people who played Orcs and Humans and knew the lore and knew these characters and wanted to see them but never got to see them again. They're reintroducing them. They're reintroducing them to the Warcraft players who maybe heard about them in passing and kind of always wondered who they were but never really got to understand. Right. And then they're hitting the people who really have just no idea who they are.
We're gonna go back in time.
I was really hoping I'd ask this question. It doesn't sound like it's going to be true. I was really hoping there would be some sort of Back to the Future paradox going on there where, like, you go back in time and, like, just for example, like, Thrall's mother dies, so for a patch, Thrall is missing, and, like, you got to go, like, stop the person who was killing Thrall's mother, and that was, like, a raid or a dungeon for some reason. I thought it could have been really cool because there's that whole time paradox of, like, you're going back in time, but it didn't look like it.
And he meets his mom, and then his mom kisses him, but it feels like she's kissing her brother, and so yeah, I understand. I understand exactly how that goes.
We should make that a movie.
Were you gonna say? I'm sorry, B.
No, it's
fine.
It's fine. I'm all about some Back to the Future references. No, but I was in the impression, according to lore, maybe there's a transition here, that we are not going back in time. We, like the players, are not going to be doing. It's just not like another Caverns of Time thing.
Lord Josh.
We're not, huh?
Lord Josh Allen.
No, I mean no. Like,
okay.
Like the story.
I was just gonna say, if you're about to say this, then I think he has a lot more authority than I do.
Everyone's making we're going back in time. No, we're not. Like Outlands is changing because he's going to stop what. I don't turn him into the.
I don't think that's true.
Going from demon to Iron Orcs. What?
I had to find this. So looking for Jesse Cox calling it now. End of WoD features future Thrall carrying baby Thrall through the portal to preserve the timeline.
But who's going to be a Dreadlord?
I think this
Jesse
is
Cox. Jesse Cox,
Jesse
please.
Cox is going to be a 5% chance that Jesse Cox is the Dreadlord.
Yes.
So I think that I don't have on good authority, and the person who called a lot of what's happening in Warlords of Draenor, Missy, believes what you're saying. We're not truly going back in time. Right. By crossing, we're actually going to an alternate version of present day Draenor.
Speaking of
yeah, it's Back to the Future all over.
That is one theory. I don't know for sure. Speaking of Missy,
yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I kind of feel like they said we're going back in time to the Garrosh is going back to the moment that they didn't drink the life or the demon blood and turn.
I'll drink the demon blood
because he talks. He basically what Garrosh is doing is he's trying to build the Iron Legion to invade Azeroth to be ready to invade while not being tainted. When Medivh opens the portal again. So in my mind and to my understanding, and maybe we can ask Missy since she's here, I think that we are going back to that moment just before he goes back to prep them to invade Azeroth, to build the Iron Legion without the taint from drinking the demon blood. Grow up, everybody. Grow up.
I was trying to hold it together.
Grow up.
I screwed it for the entire room. I'm sorry. I apologize.
So
I'm
gonna try and get this back on track.
Sorry, viewers at home. Right now.
So I feel like it's and then because again in the press Q&A I asked about kind of the theory of affecting time that way. Kosak said something along the lines of Garrosh was going to take what he can. So maybe this actually does lend credibility to what I say. Maybe I am misunderstanding it. He's going to take.
Yeah, she's getting credit for the whole thing. I'm the one that brought it up. You know what? Okay.
Mike B gets credit.
So we're just on the same page.
He's working this out.
I'm working it out in my head because I truly don't know. I think there's good arguments for both, but I think that for whatever reason he's going to take whatever the story is he's going to in this second timeline take what he can to try and bring it back to ultimately affect the timeline that we know. So maybe it is literally a parallel. I still am of the belief that we've gone back in time to that moment right before they invade through the dark portal, and he's trying to make a change there. But if we don't stop him, or if we need to stop him,
Yes.
to keep the timeline pure.
Yes, we need to
Otherwise,
stop. We need to stop Biff before he.
Why are we at Draenor?
Because he's had time to build up this army.
But then they should have already invaded Azeroth.
Okay, so we go back. We stop Gary, right? And then after that, that's it. Now all that's floating around out there in Outlands is all the crazy creatures. There we go. That's it. Everybody's happy. That's it. I mean, no, it is the portal's still going to remain intact. It's going to take us to the present day, right? He's going back in time. We're not going back in time. We're going to the present day that he created in Outlands, which is Draenor. That's what's going to happen. We're going to go over there. It's going to be populated by by the Iron Horde or whatever, and everybody else that spawned from.
But he went back in time to make the Iron Horde to invade Azeroth. Why are they still sitting there? If it is present day, after the Dark Portal's been opened, why are they still sitting there?
It's not present day. It's back. Okay. So he said it was 30 years of World of Warcraft, and now we're going back to
the moment.
The moment that decided it all. And actually, Missy, maybe you should just jump in here because I'm horrible at lore. But it sounds to me like we're going to be going back in time to an alternate past and trying to stop Biff from taking over the world. Exactly, from running into the Moonor. There we go.
Okay, so from what I understood, Garrosh is actually going back to that point. We won't get to. From the way that they described it, we're going to have the pre-patch 6.0 event where we're actually going to have to fight the Iron Horde, and they're going to be in our present day. The portal's turned red, and then we're going to have to try to stem the tide at the portal to begin with, and then slowly work our way back.
So wait, you just said something interesting. So what's going to draw us to the Dark Portal is they're going to invade with the Iron Legion. But then we're going to go through the Dark Portal, which takes us back in time to the moment that Garrosh went to. So we're still going back in time.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to go back in time.
I can't stop hearing that in my head.
Every
time you said it,
I know.
wanted to hear Jason say it. I didn't want to interrupt.
I know, it's horrible, right? I mean, it's like one of those things where you just go, okay, let's just beat this into the ground, shall we? I need a DeLorean right away.
So you still think that there's an element of going back in time?
It's somewhat going back in time. I've been watching too much Doctor Who, though, so it's that whole 10 and Rose attitude.
If they take you back in time, does that basically give them almost a slate to do anything at that point? Because
that's what they want. That's what they want.
They can absolutely do anything.
It's like Star Trek.
It's like the new Star Trek. I was just gonna say.
Well, that's the thing is, if you change the outcome, then the timeline is completely changed.
And they've sat there and said so many times that there's repercussions coming from Garrosh making these changes, whether or not it's going to be with our present day or if we're going to be able to have this continuous connection to that changed timeline.
And this is why Metzen said that they had bullets in the chamber, right? So they have bullets in the chamber because they know what's expected to happen, and now they can change it even just slightly to make sure that they have new expansions coming after new expansions, because
they're never gonna give us Sargeras.
No, they're never gonna do that.
Well, the next one is the movie's gonna come out around the same time as the expansion, so you know where that's gonna go for sure. All right, do you guys want to talk about more World of Warcraft? We got 8 other games to talk about. Sure.
Well, I mean, you're the moderator. Let's go.
I am.
Yeah,
come on.
You're sitting over in the chair. We're on a bed.
I think we got.
I mean, I can make out with Mike all night, but maybe we should do a show.
Maybe we should
do a
show.
Let's do that.
The most exciting thing I think I played was Heroes of the Storm. Anybody excited?
Yeah.
It is completely different than it was 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys all
really
played it 2 years ago and we played it here. It is like a completely different game.
They're like, oh, they changed the name again. It's like,
no, but it's not the same game at all.
Right.
So,
at least it's not
StarCraft
balls.
2 mod at that time. At that point in time, it was just a modded StarCraft 2.
It was a MOBA. It was like wannabe League. There was nothing else different about it than trying to be League of Legends. And now it's like a completely different game. Like game maps and different modes and
So, Gary, do you think that this is going to be something that, I mean, it's not League of Legends, obviously, but do you think that this is something that can be an esport like League or anything?
Everybody's shaking their heads yes. I'm still shaking my head no.
So here's the thing. I've gotten in so many conversations.
I mean, even on a small
The only reason I think it's going to be tough is because there's so many options. So that's why I think Riot's so afraid to release even new maps and stuff like that, because it's like basketball, right? It's like you got a team, there's X number of players, you got one ball, you got 2 hoops. It's like it's set. And Riot kind of has that. With this, there's so many maps. There's different game modes.
Right.
There's different this. There's different that. It's like that's what we like playing. Hey, let's play basketball, but now we're gonna play with 2 balls, and then
But I think
the bombs are gonna drop. The floor is gonna drop.
I think
underneath you in this mode. So
I think
that one out.
I think the experimentation might actually pay off though in the long run. I mean, as far as
people are gonna adapt to it, but I just don't know if it's gonna be like
as far as like gameplay and stuff like that. I mean, people are used to LoL and people are used to the single map and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's okay, but
they never wanted to say anything about esports.
I know.
People grilled them. They just said we want people to play with friends.
Right.
Friends.
Exactly.
Friends.
But
they say that word over and over, which I think is great. Cause I think
sure.
I'm tired of getting my ass kicked in the league. And
Why? I can't remember. I think it was you or maybe it was on After Dark. Someone. Why gun for the big dogs? Why pretend like that's where you're trying? Especially when it's so different for the first off. But why not try? If it can grow to the point where that they can start holding esports, then go for it. But if they're smart enough, like it sounds like they are, to build their game around playing with friends, make a good game. And I get that there is a problem. It's hard to come up with there's going to be the map or how do you decide? Like there are a lot of variables that is not just a basketball game. That's going to cause problems down the road. But why try and shoot to take down League right out the gate? Build your game, make it good, get the following, bring in the people. Because I think there's a lot of stuff in place. People are still very competitive with this game, but after playing it with a lot of people who are first-time MOBA players or just didn't like LoL, I think that a lot of them had a much more positive feeling coming out of this game and felt like they knew what they were playing.
All the item buying and all that stuff just going away, just was like we're all looking for it.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
Exactly.
Like and everyone that plays WoW or any other game understands it. Like once you realize like you don't have to buy all that shit, and you don't have to like go like on MOBA Fire like look up builds and stuff. You're just like, oh, I just pick an ability or I just pick an experience boost. Like cool.
And I really do think that the changes that they made makes it so different that it almost puts it in a different market almost. Not really, but
no, I think it does.
But
go ahead.
But I do think that there's some viability to making this into some sort of not necessarily esport, but some kind of watchable thing that people can do and that other people will want to watch. I mean, look at Hearthstone as compared with, other card games out there, and you can see that it's different and maybe it's more casual, but it still has depth. It still has some kind of competitive thing about it that people can latch onto.
Justin, you actually tweeted about the fact that it has spectator mode, right? Like I didn't even see that. It's totally like where did they show it? What was it?
They had the live match earlier, and they had spectator mode in the live match.
So it's already built in. I mean, they're definitely going to build it for it.
Yeah. No, the thing is like the game is simple. We talked about this back with WoW with like RPGs. It's like people know what capture the flag is. You just know it, and that's it. And this is it's one of those things where it's simple enough. It's a small map. Everything is actually when you play
it's simple, but it's so diverse.
When you play it, oh man. When you play it, everything's like spelled out on the map. When you walk by a camp, it's all like it says on the things. It's like kill these dudes and they'll help you. Oh, well, I guess I should kill these dudes and they'll help me. Like there's no. It's so easy to understand.
Don't try and kill them by yourself. For the record, though, jungling does not exist. Don't take on those camps by yourself. You'll get hilariously raffle stomped.
No, I was fine with stitches. Well, I wasn't doing any damage, but I was doing totally cool. It's like, no, but the thing is like you're right. Like they took out the shop. What they replaced it with was they give you a choice in your talents, what you could pick. Whereas in League, your skills, you only have like your handful of skills, and you just make them stronger, and that's it. Here, it's like you can have a choice between 2 different ults. I was playing Falstad and I had 2 different ults. I had a laser beam, or I could have like a dive bomb or something like that, like anywhere on the map or whatever. And that's the other thing too. Like they have these abilities that don't have range. You can just teleport anywhere on the map if you want. It's like I'm just gonna go here right now. It's a channel thing and you go.
It goes even one step farther, and I started to deduce this. I talked to a little bit of the devs about it when I was in the press area playing. So if you open up your talent sheet, you'll see that there are some talents that you just didn't have access to. They were grayed out.
Right. Yeah.
The build was turned off is my deduction. And when you queue up, I'm going to use Arthas as an example because he's the one that I played the most as. He's got a build that's Frost, and that was what they had available, but there was a lot of stuff that was grayed out. So assume that when you choose at the start of the game, because they asked us, they were like, oh, you chose that spec at the beginning. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just chose a talent. So when the game starts, when you queue, you can choose to be either Frost or Blood. Malfurion's another good example. Malfurion is known right now as like a support caster, but so when you're there, you can choose to be a Resto or a Boomkin, and you can just decide which route you want to play. Then on top of that, once you're in game, now you have the option of which talents you're going to go to adapt to the situation. So you've either chosen to be a healer at the start with Malfurion, or you've chosen to be a caster, and now you can even continue to adapt. And it's so much easier to adapt your skills than it is to think. League's got a very simple system, and I've been saying this. League's system is 2 types of attack, 2 types of damage. Very simple at its core, but is very confusing when you're building against other people. You've got to counter build. You've got to think about what to build when, how to, okay, I should get this item because I've got the gold for it. It gets really complicated. Now it's literally just, okay, I hit level 3. I'm dying a lot. I would love the extra 200 health. Or
it's a significant amount of health that they give you too. It's not like you get, what, plus 50 or something like that. It's significant.
What do you guys think of the change about how like the experience is shared amongst all the players? So like now there's not like really like star players on the team. So I feel like people are gonna be like 50-50 on this because like all sports teams and people who play like always have these like your star players who like slightly carry other players who aren't as
still
good.
You still have your kill count and all that stuff. Your kill death count, your tabs. You still see your leaderboard and everything.
But
Sure.
they can't carry.
But they can't carry the like.
You're not gonna have one guy who's gonna be level 20 versus somebody else who's level 15 or something like that. Yeah, you're right. Everyone's gonna be the same going through it.
Every sport out there has a Jordan, right?
No,
like, you have like
think
that star
good.
player who's really, really good who helps that team like get to the extra mile, and now it's like.
I think it's good because it's going to allow for more class diversity. People actually fill these roles. The same thing happens, with WoW in Battlegrounds. Actually, healers. What's your how many KBs you got, healer? None. Right, and that's it. Right. So here it's like, I can actually go and be a healer. I can actually go and be a support class or be a whatever weird class is stuff that they have going on in there. And actually, I would still benefit because I'm keeping these guys alive. They're doing work. We're all getting XP. Everything's great. I don't have to sit there and be like, I'm gonna heal you, but not too much because I need to go kill these dudes over here and like get some stuff going.
League is completely redefining their support classes in the upcoming season because of that issue, because the supports were so undervalued, because they couldn't take kills from their team, because they needed to give the gold and the experience to their AD carry who they were in the lane with, and it hurt supports. No one liked playing support, but it's interesting now because Abathur is a support that I don't play StarCraft. He's a support that doesn't go in lane. He just stands back and he basically jumps into like you can infest your own people and aid them. I just played that character like right before we left. It's so bizarre. It's so weird. But it's
so weird.
But it brings such a fun dynamic to being a support, and you're still as much a part of the game as anyone else, and it's important.
So I played ETC, who was a melee warrior, and he's the one that had like his stage dive, which you can teleport anywhere in the map, and he had a couple other channel abilities, line of sight abilities. I also played I forget the goblin. And he had a number. Like I dropped turrets. He dropped multiple turrets on the ground, and they would just do work. I got one of my passive abilities. Everybody has a passive ability, right? Is if I were to be near like a tower or something like that when it drops, I get. It was actually kind of complicated, which was surprising because everything else in the game is so simple. It was like if I'm near something when it drops, like a tower when it falls, and I get extra salvage, I collect X amount of salvage, then my mana will increase by such and such or whatever. There are just so many different mechanics, so many different things they could do that allowed these characters, these roles to kind of to just expand. People just kind of play how they want. Again, go back to like healers and all that stuff. It was great. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Every character I played was just.
It's nice to hear that it's kind of deep like that. I mean, it's kind of nice that we can already see some sort of depth behind it, and if it is that complex, that's a great thing for this game. I mean, that just means that there's probably, as it develops, we're going to see more of that, and hopefully it will be another one of those games that is really accessible to a lot of people, and they understand kind of at the front of it what it is, but still we can see some sort of depth and really kind of push this game to a different level.
And the thing is, just to note, and I'm really going off of like the size of the tooltips, but I mean most of them were pretty cut and dry. The passive abilities were the ones that were the most complex, which is great because even a new player, if he's in the right place at the right time, it'll just happen, and someone could be like, hey, you weren't there. If you were in the area, this will happen. Like, oh, I just got to stand here. I don't have to hit a button. I don't have to time something. I'm freaking out, and I'm like, oh, I got to hit a button. I don't have to worry about that. It's just doing it, and that's it.
That's cool.
What do you guys think about the forced? And I don't know if this will make it final, but what do you guys think about the forced 20-minute time frame?
That's I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah, really short matches. Really short.
It's not even about them. I'm okay with the idea of trying to keep them short. It's a smaller map and maybe keep it short. But I think the problem is I think you maybe brought this up, or maybe Rich did, is it feels like the timer's in there because no one can snowball. Because ultimately no one can just push and it could end up in a very strong back and forth that's only really regulated by long death timers. Because everybody levels at the same time, no one can really fall behind, which is good, but it makes for very long matches. And I think that I'm personally okay with those really long matches that like it's just back and forth for 40 50 minutes, because you earn it. You really have to kind of think of how to use the map strategy to push for the win. Because we made a desperate push.
Right, and that push, I got a question, like, how many times is that push going to happen? Like, how many times are you going to be down to, like, 2 minutes? You're like, guys, let's just do it. Let's just go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's not really that awesome. Like, that's not really a really great feeling. Like, we kind of felt like we were under the gun.
If we didn't make it, I would have been pissed. If we didn't make it,
any strategy. Like, we were just forced into that push.
And
I don't know if I like that from a competitive standpoint.
The only thing that I'm gonna
make that decision when the team wants to make that decision, not just because the timer's counting down.
The only thing that I want to say is that as they iterate this thing, we're probably going to see some changes to that. Really. I mean, if they find that people are just not having fun with it, Blizzard is the kind of company that will just say, okay, people aren't having fun. How can we make them have fun? Do we need to have this timer a little bit longer? Okay, fine. Let's do it. I don't think that they're too, set on any one thing, as we've seen with, the WoW stuff. As we've seen with the WoW stuff, though, they're willing to change stuff. So I don't think that 20 minutes is necessarily set in stone yet. We can see that switch up and move a little bit out as the development process goes on. So
the strategies actually will develop, and they will take into account the time.
Yeah,
yes,
they will.
And
right.
I mean, how much time do you need in Warzone? Just 25 minutes, right? Is that right? And that's it, right? For next one to score whatever wins, or there's a flag timer or whatever, like a debuff timer and all that stuff, right?
Right.
Is that stuff still available? Probably. Sure. Anyways,
I haven't played Warzone Ultimate forever.
I do not PvP. I'm sorry.
Everyone knows, like, I don't know.
I'm a rating guy. What the hell do I know?
Remember that they're not coming out with new PvP. We all stopped.
Here's the thing. Like, once you get down to like the last 3 minutes or whatever, or you have a flag timer that's about to go off, you know that you have X amount of minutes before you have to do something. Your strategy will build around that time. You will do that. You're gonna look at how much time.
That did happen for us.
And the thing is, when you're playing with a number of other people, play with your friends. You're gonna go and you're gonna queue and you're gonna maybe you'll have a friend with you, but that might not happen. You're a pug. When you go and you get in, if you know that getting together and coming up with a last minute strategy to just balls deep on this thing and just make it happen at the last seconds, then you can make it work. But if you're with a pug, it's probably not going to work. If you have no timer, they're just going to keep feeding, keep going, it's going to keep happening. And eventually, someone's going to win because someone's going to be feeding too much or something like that. And not because everybody knows the timer's coming, everybody knows there's 2 minutes left. Hey, don't go out yet. Wait a second. Wait till we rest, until everyone's together. Now let's go and do it. Like, it will happen. The strategy will happen.
I think that's the other thing.
How do you regulate that with the pug? I mean, you brought up the whole fact that, yes, they want you to play with your friends. You can't control that. You can't say, no, like, hey, we all need to make a push top. That's because that's what we did. We hold out. We said, all right, we literally had, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, and we were, 3 of us were dead. We're like, everybody back. The second everybody's up, we're pushing top. And this is it. But you're not going to get that with a pug.
You will get it. You will get it. You will get it because if there's no timer,
everybody's looking at the timer.
If there's no timer, then no one's gonna know when to do this push. You could try to coordinate it, but they're not gonna listen, right?
Sure.
But the timer, the game is telling you, hey, you have 2 minutes and you're done. Everybody's gonna be like, oh, I should do something. We should change something. What we're doing is not working. Let's do something. And someone's be like, hey, let's push top. Boom, and it'll happen. More so than if there's no timer.
Well, bottom line, I mean, by looking at the line today, I think everybody agrees that I'm not gonna say it stole the show, but I think every
Well, it's the new hotness. So I mean, what can you do, right?
What's the GBA? What are you guys most excited about? Anything, not just World of Warcraft. What do you guys? I don't know. What else?
Heroes of the Storm.
That was the
Heroes.
thing. That was the thing.
I'm the only one that was excited about how well the Hearthstone tournament looked.
Hearthstone.
I'm actually really excited for
Don't even pretend like I wasn't just like, oh my gosh, now our Hearthstone tournament's gonna have to just be like ridiculously good in terms of production value. We've gotta up our game.
Hey.
It's good that a lot of people got to play Hearthstone this weekend. I mean, that was one of the things that I was kind of hoping that a lot of people would be able to do, and the area seemed packed the entire time for Hearthstone. And you know, I've been in it for a while. I have fun with it. You have fun with it. I know you've spent a lot of money on it. I've spent a lot of money on it. You've spent some money on it. Is all your little tiny beer money gone into that?
Yes.
All right.
That's why I only had enough for a big beer this time.
Right. That was given to you, by the way.
That's all I had.
Right. But I mean, it's good to know that is still a thing that's still out there, that's still going. But yeah, HOTS. I mean, how can you not take away from the new hotness?
No. So what's funny? So when we started off, Chapter said, I think what took the show was
not one person said anything about Diablo.
Was Hero? Yeah.
Nobody said anything.
And no one wants to continue talking about. What
Should
we
we
say
talk about Titan now? Let's talk about Titan, Gary. Why don't we do that?
Hey, what happened to our chant? What happened to the Titan chant?
Did not happen. I was disappointed.
I know.
No. So Chapter probably says, Draenor and Heroes like took the show, and I was like, I think that Hearthstone and Heroes took the show. I honestly think that, sure, you know what, WoW has a lot of subscribers, that's great, but I think people are looking at these 2 new IPs and they're like, I want these games. Look at the lines, like people. I mean, there was no line to go and play Draenor. There was none.
No.
There wasn't.
Nope. It was
everyone.
Not one day it was empty, but there was a lot of seats.
Yep.
Last thing before we wrap up. So like, what's interesting? We're talking about Titan. We were talking about now it's like now with these new IPs that like we never like Heroes and Hearthstone. It kind of came out of basically nowhere.
Nothing. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Where is Titan even a blip on the radar? I mean,
I told you, Gary. What'd I say? What'd I tell you?
Well, because like, what was it like? I think it was.
He's like, I'm not gonna tell you who it's on me.
But like, I think it was like a week or two ago. Didn't Blizzard say that like almost all of the developers are now back on World of Warcraft? There's more developers on World of Warcraft now than there have ever been in the existence of World of Warcraft. I think that might be correct. I'm probably lying.
I think maybe not to that extent, but they did say that they've pulled a massive amount of their people back from Titan onto WoW.
So what do you think's going on? Just like
With Titan?
just put it on the back burner. Just wait. We've got 2 new IPs that'll hold everybody over.
Hearthstone
the next
is
6
Titan.
years.
Oh, he dropped the mic. He dropped the mic.
Dropped it nicely though, because I care
You
about
said
Gary.
Hearthstone is Titan.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying it.
Well-
Obviously, it's not. But what I'm saying is that their hands are now full with 2 new IPs that were not part of that timeline at all, and Diablo's coming to consoles, right? So there's all these things that we just did not see coming. I think that Titan's manpower is these new IPs and whatever they're going to be doing with World of Warcraft.
Well, and I think that Titan is the next thing, but let's slow it down. Let's push it. But let's push it off by a couple of years. I think that with the new IPs, you can do that fairly successfully without having to worry about anything else. I mean, I don't think they have anything to worry about. They've got the new WoW X Pack. They've got 2 new games. They've got a new X Packs for everything else, pretty much. So I think they're in a fairly good place business-wise to be able to push Titan off at least by a couple of years. It buys them some time, and that way they can rethink it. Make sure that their engines are right and all that kind of crazy programming crap that I don't understand, and make it a good game. So,
I mean, I get the thing is why try and create the next gen MMO when you already have a massive amount of people playing your current MMO. Why? I get it. You might have lost people that'll never come back to World of Warcraft, and the idea of a new game could be alluring to the people who have just completely written it off and said they're done. But why not try and take those philosophies and start applying what you can to make the next gen MMO into the MMO that you already have with a very healthy subscriber base, and take the time to focus on the MOBA genre, the card genre, the StarCraft. What you were saying, they didn't have these on their plate back then. Why not just take the philosophies that they were trying to apply to Titan, integrate them as they can into WoW, And I think that a lot of us had the agreement that Titan's big revealing like thing was they were going to come up with the next most amazing MMO that was going to be free to play. That was the only big thing, was just that it was going to be free to play.
Without anything else, yeah, you're right.
Well, it was going to have other things, but that was the
new IP, right? Yeah,
right. Completely new IP.
We can throw that out. I mean, it's so long. Like, come on.
Yeah, I was calling it the Doctor Who MMO for a while because I was like, sure, why not? Let's do that for a while. Then
All
again,
right, my voice is completely shot.
Yeah,
and everybody needs cocktails. So
I need to pee.
Yeah.
That's it.
He's almost done with his bottle.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody now what everybody's gonna ask now, when is WoW 2.0, the new engine, gonna come? When is will they just now
new engine?
Revamp the engine, give us a completely new engine?
Well, and then that would be Titan.
Why do they need to?
Then that would be
they're redoing models,
Titan, right? I mean
Pandaria looks amazing. It really does look good. Looks really good. The new character models look great, and I'm not necessarily not the ones that we've seen just now, but I mean the pandas look awesome. Goblins still look good. You know, like these. But why do they need? What else are they gonna do?
The new ones look awesome though. They really do. I mean,
they look great. But what else are they gonna do though? To make that.
Who the hell knows?
Free to play.
Free to
play. That's not an engine thing.
That's not an engine thing.
Not an engine thing.
No. I think that they're doing. I mean, they've really extended this engine as much as they possibly. I mean, I don't understand how they keep on milking this thing time after time, right? I mean, it's like I did a slash dance on all of the new models, and I was so blown away by all of the detail in the face that they were expressing. You know, just the eyes alone. It was incredible.
Did you see that there in one of the ogres that we killed when we were running the dungeon? It's like it was literally like his mouth open, just dead, and had like dead eyes. But like we've killed so many monsters before, I haven't really felt like holy crap, I just killed this dude. But he literally had like this look of horror on his face, like you just killed me, like you bastard. And it had so much life to it.
And orcs actually had complete mouths. I was so they had a bottom lip that was jutting out.
What?
That was amazing.
Huh?
This is like this. The entire time.
They look really good. Yeah, there's nothing else left. I mean, look at like the Unity engine, Unreal Engine. Like these are things that they've taken and they've expanded out. So it's just further than anybody else could possibly imagine. Unreal Engine is actually a good example of this. Look at how many different games that they've built on this thing. They've really pushed it.
Right.
Yeah, the WoW engine is probably the same thing. I mean, like look at where they've taken. Look at vanilla WoW, and then look at where we're at now. Like it's such a huge difference. It's the same engine. They just keep on adding to it and fixing it. We don't need a new engine. Like they've already given us a lot of this that we need to see.
Yeah, Gary, quit bringing that up.
People want it to stop being cartoony, I think, is the one gripe. And I don't get behind. Trust me, I don't get behind it.
That's the look. It's always been like that. I mean, no.
That's
I
the problem.
I get what you're saying. Orcs and Humans, Tides of Darkness, Warcraft. I mean, come on. Like they've all looked like this.
Yeah.
If they changed it, made it more realistic, that would be weird.
I didn't say
He's right on.
He's
right
saying
it for the internet.
I didn't say it.
He's right on. You're a jerk.
BlizzCon 2013. Hope you guys had fun. You guys all have fun?
We all had fun.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll see you next time.
That's it. Okay, bye.